everyone, and welcome to another SyncApps Walkthrough Wednesday series. And I'm Joanna, and I'll be your host for today. And for this week, we will be talking about Zoho CRM to Mailchimp integration with SyncApps. So please be reminded that this Walkthrough Wednesdays is currently being recorded for post-marketing purposes for all of our other viewers on this week's webinar. So to start, I have here an agenda or overview on what we're going to be talking about for today. So firstly, we have the Zoho CRM to Mailchimp integration. What is it all about? How it works? What is the flow in it? And of course, I'm going to be showcasing you next on how to set it up with SyncApps. And thirdly, we have a very special guest for today, which is Michael Tro. Please help me welcome Mr. Michael from All the Best Solutions, wherein he will also be showcasing some use case scenarios for Zoho CRM to Mailchimp integration. And of course, I will be wrapping it up again by showcasing the SyncApps advantage and how you can utilize and optimize integration with SyncApps. And of course, the last portion of our webinar is a question and answer portion. So please feel free to interact with our guest speakers as well as our support team through the chat box down below. So firstly, we have Zoho CRM to Mailchimp. What are the major features of this integration? So you can sync all of your Zoho CRM contacts and leads to your Mailchimp master lists. You can even specify or sync specific Zoho CRM campaigns and lead them to a different Mailchimp groups or even tags. So tags are the new feature from Mailchimp, which before they have called it static segments. And also you can filter and sync only specific records that you want from your CRM to your marketing automation, which is Mailchimp. And of course, we also have our custom field mapping between both systems. So these are only the major features, and SyncApps has a lot of range, a lot of features for our Zoho CRM to Mailchimp integration. And of course, if you have a specific customization or a specific requirement with your integration, you can always reach out to us as customizable requirements are available with SyncApps. So how does it work? Basically, in a nutshell, it's a 4-step process. So all of your records come from your Zoho CRM app. So you have to sync your contacts, your leads, or even your accounts. Next, they get synced over to your Mailchimp email marketing app. So your contacts, your leads, or accounts from Zoho are synced over as records into your Mailchimp lists or even groups. Next, you can then send out multiple email campaigns to your lists or groups from Mailchimp. And then you will be having your campaign responses that can be synced back to Zoho. So campaign responses are those campaign metrics such as opens, clicks, bounces, and forwards. So with SyncApps, we offer a seamless integration, it's a bi-directional integration for Zoho and Mailchimp with SyncApps. So here is a flowchart. This is a very blown out flowchart on how Zoho CRM to Mailchimp works. So first, we have the start, of course, and then you select which lead or even contact you want from Zoho. And if you're using potentials, you can also, potentials are also deals or opportunities in Zoho. So you can also sync that with SyncApps via our field mapping. And then you can even close out and win more sales, close more deals, and efficiently boost your sales efforts with SyncApps by doing integration of your Zoho to Mailchimp. So here I have a quick introduction in how you can set it up with SyncApps. So let me just quickly share my screen here and move it. Okay. So with SyncApps, it's very easy to set up your Zoho CRM to Mailchimp integration. So here I have my SyncApps account, and I have here some pre-set up sync profiles for demo purposes, and I'll be showcasing our Zoho CRM to Mailchimp integration, of course. So firstly, you will have to create a sync profile name. So a sync profile name is basically just a description for you to remember the sync profile that you have just created. And of course, select your sync type, which is of course Zoho CRM to Mailchimp, and that is your integration. Just hit next and you will be redirected to a 6-step easy process. So firstly, you will need your Zoho credentials, your authentication, which you can find more details if you hover over the green eye tooltip, and a sync note will pop up on the right side corner of the screen for you. Next, once you have got your authentication token from Zoho, you can then select which module type you would like to sync. So you can sync either your contacts or your leads from Zoho to Mailchimp. So if you need to sync 2 modules, such as contacts and leads, so you will need to create 2 different sync profiles for each module type. Next, you can then select a specific sync mode. So in here, you can customize your integration. So you can sync all of your contacts or leads. You can sync just those campaigns that you have from Zoho. You can even select specific campaigns or even sync your specific list views. So if you click on specific list views, then you'll just need to select on which list views you would like to sync. But for now, I'm just gonna sync all of my contacts or leads from Zoho to Mailchimp. Next here, you will need to get your Zoho CRM account time zone. Now, it is important that your time zone that you have specified on our dropdown here is the same as the time zone that you have set up in your Zoho account. So where do you find that? Of course, you just need to hover over the green eye tooltip, and a sync note will pop up right for you and show you where you can get that in your Zoho CRM account. Then next, you just have here some few checkboxes that can be, customizable, and you can choose out and pick out different options depending on the requirement that you would need. So if we click on next here, we will be redirected to step 2 of our sync profile, which is of course, sorry about that. So let's just skip here. In step 2, which is Mailchimp, you will just need your API key from Mailchimp, and you can just get that easily in your Mailchimp account. So for more details, please also hover over the green eye tooltip again, and a sync note will pop up right for you. Okay, so next, what you want to do is select a master list. Now, this must be an existing master list in your Mailchimp account. So if you have that master list already, you can then head and copy and paste that over here. So all of your contacts or leads from Zoho will be it will be synced over into the specific master list that you have in Mailchimp. Next, you can then select a specific segmentation method. So we have 2 options for you. So we have the Mailchimp groups or the Mailchimp tags. So it's definitely up to you whether you'd like to use the groups or tags as your segmentation method for your records from Zoho to Mailchimp. And of course, a group title to use is basically just the group name that would fall under this list that you have specified above here. And any other subgroups, for example, if you are syncing your campaigns from Zoho, one campaign is equal to one subgroup in Mailchimp. So that is how easy it is to set up your Zoho with Mailchimp with SyncApps. So if we go to step 3, which are just about our sync add-ons, basically we have add-ons available for you, so you can customize and really tailor your integration with SyncApps. So those are available as well. Nextly, we have the field mapping feature. Now, if you are using your Zoho CRM potentials, this is very important that you map them out in step 4 of your sync profile. So you can select your last potential field in here in the drop-down and map that to a custom Mailchimp field, or let's say the merge tag that you have in Mailchimp. Okay, so that is how easy it is, and just select a mapping direction and just add that, and all of those all of the fields or all of the maps that you have added will be shown here in the current mapping down below. So moving on to step 5, which is our filter and segmentation feature. This is a very powerful feature wherein you can specify and filter out your records from Zoho to Mailchimp. So in my case, for testing out purposes, I enable my filtering and segmentation by using email. So I just want my email address to be synced from Zoho to Mailchimp, just for testing out purposes. So I can set a specific criteria in here. So email is equal to joanna@cazoomi.com, and only this email address and only this contact will be integrated from Zoho to Mailchimp. So if you have a specific criteria or a specific filter that you would like to set for your records, then please feel free to enable this feature in step 5 of your sync profile. So you can select as many fields as you'd like in your Zoho CRM and just select some conditional parameters in here, and of course set the value. So you can also enable different segmentations and add as many lists as you want in Mailchimp. So over in step 6 here, we have the sync scheduling. So for the free trial, we have it on a daily interval, and if you need real-time syncing, then that is available with our enterprise plans. So if we hit finish, you can then run your sync for Zoho to Mailchimp by clicking the Sync Now button and see if your record has been successfully integrated from Zoho to Mailchimp. So that is how easy it is to set up your Zoho CRM to Mailchimp integration with SyncApps. So for now, as I said earlier, we have a very special guest with us in here for our webinar today. So we have Alderbus Solutions. They are a advanced partner for Zoho CRM, and they help small businesses grow their CRM services through results-driven marketing. So please help me welcome Mr. Michael Cho, the president of Alderbus Solutions, and he will be showcasing some use case scenarios which are very helpful on your Zoho CRM to Mailchimp integration.
Yeah, hi Joanna.
Hi Michael. Thank you so much for being with us today. It's a pleasure.
No, pleasure to be here. Hello everybody, and looking forward just to talking a little bit about this. Just very briefly, we've been working predominantly with Zoho for 5 years or more now, and a lot of the work we do is really around helping small or expanding businesses really improve the way that they work through their sales and marketing activity, improve their productivity, improve the results they see, really by leveraging the tools at their disposal. And so that really comes under using tools like Mailchimp and Zoho, and then something like Cazoomi and SyncApps that sits in the middle to really help facilitate this vital process. We've helped dozens of companies implement and set up SyncApps to make sure that their integration between Zoho and Mailchimp is everything that they want. And they can certainly, you can see how easy it is or can be just from what Joanna shared with you earlier. Really, today I want to sort of talk a little bit about some of the scenarios we've seen, because we have seen a lot of different situations where people find value in the sync. It's not always just a case of all and every record going between the tools. Sometimes there are specific needs that need to be met, and always there are considerations that need to be considered so that you can make sure you're not duplicating any work, having any records, sync that shouldn't be, maybe even sending emails out to people that shouldn't be getting them. And ultimately, it's all about ensuring that you are enabling both sales and marketing through these tools so that you can have, so your customer has an effective and positive journey and experience with your sales. Joanna, are you able to make me the presenter so I can
sure.
share my screen?
Sure. Just very quickly here, I'm gonna share your screen. Okay, so I have sent you a notification.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay, there we have it.
Perfect. So you should see my screen. Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Excellent. So I'll just bring up the correct screen then. Very good. So really there's two parts to consider when we're looking at this. And the main thing is really the processes and requirements with data from Zoho. But then oftentimes what people overlook or don't think so much about is what the second part is, which is processes and requirements with data to Zoho. And so while Cazoomi and SyncApps supports the synchronization predominantly from Zoho to Mailchimp, there's definitely data that can come back as well. And that's really where something like SyncApps stands out from the other options in this space. So there's two parts of that, is how you can be flexible with the data that's going into Mailchimp, but also knowing that you've got comprehensive information coming back that's actually going to help you see and glean better results. So the first part of that would be, largely the data from Zoho. Essentially, this is deciding the who and when. Then it's just deciding what fields of information you want to include in the sync. So it can be that simple, but depending on your activity, the channels of information or leads that you're getting, there can be some thoughts that does need to be given to this. To say it's not always a case of just all leads or all contacts that could or should be synced. Oftentimes it's the opposite of that. It's a subset of them. So number one, is it all data and all processes? Meaning we've got this universal process where leads are coming from any channel. Doesn't matter. They go through the same unique process and the same follow-up sequence, where we know that the time that we want them to be added to Mailchimp, so they get the newsletters or email communications that we're sending from there. It's all going to be the same. So that's the most simple version of this. When it's just all leads, all contacts, they're just going to be, no matter who goes into Zoho or when, they're going to be added across to Mailchimp, and then they're going to receive the emails that are being sent out from there. The second part of that, or option, is the subset of data and all processes, meaning it's just going to be, let's focus on leads. So it's going to be some leads that are in certain conditions or meet certain criteria, and it's this unique process, this all process. No matter what we do with them, we want them added across to Mailchimp instantly, so that any email activity that's happening, they're going to be recipients of that. The third part of this, which is generally where we see more integrations being required, is it being a subset of data, so the same as number two, meaning leads that meet certain criteria or conditions, with unique processes, meaning that there's certain activity you want to happen with these leads, either both sales and or marketing, and only at certain times you want them added to Mailchimp for your email communications. Maybe there's a drip sequence they get, or maybe you just want to ensure that because they're at a certain place in the sales process that they would then receive all your newsletters and communication that goes to everybody. So the first thing is really deciding on the who and the when, and then just deciding which fields of information you want to pass across from Zoho to Mailchimp to enable you to do things that Joanna was talking about in terms of segmentation, whether it's groups or using tags, and just being able to say that we've got from Mailchimp an email is going to go out to a subset of this data because they meet certain criteria, and we're trying to do a targeted message to people in those situations or spaces. The second part of it is the data is the data into Zoho. And that's really what is Mailchimp going to send back? What we haven't considered here is, just briefly the other part of it, which is if people are going to update their profiles. So if I'm a subscriber and I receive an email and I update my profile information, do you want that synced back to Zoho as well? That's something to consider. The other part of that would be subscription status. So if someone opts out, do you want them to also be reflected as opted out in Zoho? Generally, that's not the case. Just to emphasize that, because that does sync to the email opt-out field more often than not, and that email opt-out field would mean that you can't send any emails through Zoho at all. So that's a really important point to consider. And oftentimes, while a lot of other parts of this take very little time to review and move to implementation, this is the one part that oftentimes people have to actually think about for a few minutes to decide, if they don't want to have any emails being sent from either system to their leads or contacts because of opt-outs from Mailchimp. But otherwise, the primary data that Zoho is going to get from Mailchimp is around the campaign activity. Now, the first thing to decide on this is whether you want that or not. I don't know of a situation where that's not beneficial. You may not want to confuse sales reps if you've got multiple users, or you may want to just have everything in Mailchimp for whatever purpose, reporting and whatever it may be. But more often than not, it is very much desirable to have campaign level activity from Mailchimp return to Zoho CRM. So that will create a campaign record in the campaigns module in Zoho CRM, and it will be named the same as your email that you're sending out, the subject line from Mailchimp, and then it's going to include all the subscriber activity, so whether or not they've opened, clicked, etc. So the second point is, what's this information for? We know it's great. It may just be there as a nice to have, and we may use it at some point, or it may be part of our ongoing efforts, something that we look to prioritize for. So is this just for visibility and insight only, number two? Or is it actually going to be leveraged for our ongoing sales and marketing activity? So it is very common for, even if it's just a one-person organization, more so for multiple user organizations, to have a campaign go out through Mailchimp. That data gets synced back into Zoho CRM. They're then able to create a view or use the advanced filters in a view in Zoho, or create a report to show the list of people that have clicked or opened or whatever you're wanting to see, maybe even bounced or something negative, but normally opened or clicked. So if someone does click this email, then you want to have a list of that, so then you can prioritize your outreach, give them a phone call or send them a further email from Zoho or whatever it may be. So the two parts to this are the who and when. So what's going to go into Mailchimp from Zoho, and the second part is what's going to come back. I just wanted to briefly expand on what Joanna said around, or demonstrated with her flow diagram. And as I said, we've seen lots of different situations where people have used SyncApps to facilitate their integration between Zoho and Mailchimp. Sometimes we've seen it where it's just contacts, and so people have had like a digital initiative for existing customers where they've run online ads or retargeting, and they know those people are already in Zoho, but they're doing retargeting through Facebook or Google or whatever it may be, and then that data is being routed back through into Zoho. It's updating the records in Zoho, and they want those people to be synced across to Mailchimp for specific lists or groups, so that they can then send them very targeted emails compared to their master list. more often than not, it is I'm going to say a complete process, whereas it's leads and contacts. So as Joanna mentioned earlier in her demonstration, they're needing 2 sync profiles and SyncApps, one from leads and one for contacts. But more often than not, there's the core need to do something like what we're seeing on the screen in front of you. And that's where we only want, records synced to Mailchimp from Zoho after they've had some interaction inside Zoho CRM. And so, looking at this as a typical sort of flow chart, the standard lead process would be, we've got leads coming from multiple channels, whether it's digital, maybe we're procuring lists or getting lists from trade shows, maybe people are calling in, but we've got multiple channels of activity for our lead generation in the left swimming lane there. All that data is getting into Zoho somehow. So that's a uniform global process. Then we go into the lead management phase. So that data, now it's in Zoho, the lead gets assigned and we're in that qualification process. So it's either going to be dead once we've pre-qualified it, it's a junk lead, or they just weren't interested, it was a mistake, something like that. But more often than not, it's going to be, I'm just going to make sure you can see what I'm talking about, so you should be able to see my pointer now. More often than not, we're going to hope that it follows one of these 2 paths here. So they're either going to be not qualified, maybe not interested right now, call me back in the future. So they're going to go into a nurture stage, something like that, called the lead status in Zoho off the shelf is the lead status of future, something like that. We typically use the value of nurture. Otherwise, they're going to be qualified and you're actually going to be pursuing the sales process with them. But it's here that we're probably going to add them to Mailchimp. So sometimes we don't mind if they are going through the sales follow-up, because if we're just sending something like newsletters to them, then we want them to get that, because that's further benefit to the prospects and us as the organization. So they're getting that additional thought leadership communication from us. Sometimes we may not add it here. Sometimes we may want the sales process to see it through its fruition, go all the way through until the person has either decided or becomes a customer before we add it to Mailchimp, because we don't want them to get any communication from us until we know for certain what the outcome of our primary objective is, the sales part of the process. But so it's either, we're going to add it to Mailchimp at either of these stages, one or the other normally. Sometimes I say it might just be when it's a nurture, because this is the leads. When they're added as a contact, we may also add it at this point too. Let's just say we've qualified them, or they're going to be not interested right now. They're going to be in a nurturing sequence. We're going to add it to Mailchimp. So then that goes into this right-hand column, which is focusing on email activity. So they're going to get their newsletters. If we are using targeted emails because of the additional information we're getting from Zoho, then they're going to get those as well. That data is going to flow back into Zoho through the second part of the sync. And so you're going to get that campaign information to Zoho. So that further enables a sales follow-up in this situation, where you can use, as I say, advanced filters or views used in Zoho to prioritize your outreach. So that's the primary sort of sales flow that we see with Zoho. It may be in this situation, if we are doing it from here and adding it to Mailchimp, that we will use a list view rather than the all leads. So we will use a list view in Zoho. We will have a pre-built list or view for leads that meet the criteria of contacted, qualified, and or nurture, somewhere in here, but not dead or not new. So they've gone through this initial stage, they're omitted from the sync to Mailchimp, but once they've reached these lead statuses, then they're going to be added to Mailchimp. So that's typically how it works, and it's where we see most people finding the most benefit from it. So then they get to take the information on the back end from the campaigns in Zoho and use that for sales follow-up and leveraging it for multiple purposes that way. That was everything that I wanted to share. If anybody's got any questions, please put them in the chat box and we'll address them afterwards. Otherwise, I'm going to say, Joanna, you can make yourself the presenter again.
Yeah, so thank you so much.
I need to do that.
Thank you so much again, Michael. And, that was very detailed and thorough. I really like the flow chart, and that is very helpful as well to all of our viewers. So, for anyone who wants to integrate and know more on Zoho CRM and a deep dive with Zoho and how to implement that seamlessly with SyncApps, Michael Cho from Algebra Solutions will be very much happy to assist you in integrating your Zoho and how to implement all of your um, CRM records and how you can manage them to to close more deals and to boost your sales. So again, lastly, why do you need to choose SyncApps? So what is the SyncApps advantage on integration platform? So firstly, by integrating your records from your CRM to your email marketing automation, you save time. You save time at least 2 hours per week, and you eliminate all of your manual efforts, meaning that you are less prone to manual error, and also you can focus. You can let your people focus more on driving sales and closing more deals and boosting your marketing efforts rather than manually exporting and importing all of your lists and having to go through a lot of spreadsheets. Next, we sync your data bi-directionally. So again, as Michael said earlier, from Zoho, it's important to determine what records you would like to sync and when. And of course, SyncApps will integrate that for you to your email marketing automation. And with that, would you like to sync back to Zoho your campaign responses? So with SyncApps, you automatically and seamlessly integrate your cloud applications such as Zoho to your Mailchimp integration. So lastly, we allow you to stay productive. So no more use of your Excel, your separate tools, since SyncApps will automatically sync your applications for you. And we save you around 13 days each year in manual efforts. So basically, we want you to try out and integrate your Zoho CRM with Mailchimp with SyncApps. So this wraps up our walkthrough Wednesday for today, and really thank you all for coming. And for now, we're open to an interactive question and answer portion. So please feel free to ask us any questions that you might have about the webinar. So if you have any further questions or if you need a one-on-one dedicated phone call with one of our sales engineers, please feel free to book a 15-minute or even a 30-minute full walkthrough demo at kazoomi.com/services, and we will be happy to talk with you one-on-one. Also, if you have any further questions, you can always ask us at support@kazoomi.com, and our 24/7 support rockstars will be happy to assist you as well. So for any questions with regards to Zoho and with regards to Algebra Solutions, please feel free to speak over with Michael and visit their website at algebrasolutions.com. So I believe that this wraps up our SyncApps Walkthrough Wednesdays for today, which we have talked about Zoho CRM to Mailchimp integration. So I'm Joanna again, and I thank you all for coming. So Michael, we really appreciate you being with us today, and I hope that you will be with us soon for more webinars such as this one. So thank you all for coming, and I hope that you have a great day ahead. So goodbye.